All right. This is the Real Sports Fan Podcast, the prelude to Season 5. We are at the Governor's Challenge at the Civic Center and got a very special guest with me today, Coach Butch Waller, Coach Howard Butch Waller, which I found out.
William
Howard. William Howard, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it gets longer.
It gets longer.
It gets longer.
Yeah, so I said, look at that. So
anybody call me Howard, I wouldn't know who they're talking to.
So, Coach, I appreciate you being here. First and foremost, what I want to do is basically give you your flowers. And what I mean by that is, you know, you've done a lot for this area. You've done a lot for a lot of men and women that I know that you've had a great influence on. So on this show, we give you your flowers while you can still smell them. You know, so I just want to tell you how I appreciate you. And I'm from Easton. I see you from afar from what you did. I played against you 3 years, you know, on varsity.
How'd that work out?
So, it didn't work out pretty good. Not good at all. Not good at all. So I've seen the type of teams you've had at Waha, but I've also seen the excellent coaching that you've done and that it hasn't been easy. So we're going to get into a lot today. You know, for those that don't know Coach Waller, he's a 1958 graduate of Waha. Played on the 57 Final Four team. Went to college at East Tennessee. Stayed in Johnson City. And the one thing that I found out about it, Coach, and this is where I want you to start it actually, is I knew your love of basketball, but talk about your love of football, your love of baseball, and I see that you're a golf coach as well. So talk a little bit about just the love of sports, and then we'll kind of get into it.
Well, when I grew up in Salisbury, it was like, you know, on the weekend, we were out on the field playing something. Yeah. It had to do with a ball, and I was fortunate enough to live in a neighborhood where we had 10 or 15 guys and girls. The girls jumped right in there with us. Yeah. So I guess that's where it all started, because nobody in my family was athletic. And then we got in middle school, junior high then, I was fortunate enough to play on Salisbury's first Little League team, which in the Little League park was at Y Middle on that field there. Yes, sir. And then then we went to the Pony League. I played on the first Pony League team and had a super coach, Gene Corbett, who played in the major leagues for St. Louis Cardinals. I'll tell you what, he taught me more about baseball than anybody else in my life. And I mean, I had the fire. I was left-handed. I was a pretty good pitcher. Had real good location. And then when we got to high school, in those days, Charlie Berry was the coach, and he was like Vince Lombardi to us. Yes, sir. There weren't any weight rooms or anything like that, so you got a summer job to build up your muscles by digging ditches or working on a Coke truck with all those great glass cases. You know, that's how we build our muscles. These kids today, they have no clue. They're spoiled rotten. So I just went with the crowd. If you weren't the group that I went to high school with, if you weren't in athletics, you were like, what's wrong with this guy?
What's going on?
What's wrong with this guy? You know. So that's how I started and played football. In fact, I was the only underclassman on the 56, 57 football team that went undefeated. Wow. And the last practice, right where this building is, used to be St. Louis Cardinals baseball stadium. And I mean, it was first class.
Is that right?
Old-fashioned, lights, the whole works, and this is where we practiced. And we were just running what you call dummy scrimmages, and I ran the ball through the line, and as I was getting up, a big lineman named Paul Lord, must weigh 350 pounds. He came stumbling along and stepped on my leg and broke both bones in my leg, and I never got to play a lick.
So that's what.
And that year, of course, I played the next year, and we probably went 2-8 or something like that. But and then it just went right into basketball. And Chesty Squires was a coach, awesome coach, and then baseball was really always easy to me. I had good coaches. I knew how to pitch, and I had a lot of fun with all of them. So when I might be getting ahead of you.
I'll go right with you.
Then I went to college and with the intention of playing football and seeing what I could do in baseball and basketball. In those days, you might be able to squeeze in 3. But when I was at Waha, in those days, they would time you on like the 100-yard dash in seconds, and I ran 9.9. Now that was pretty good.
Yes, sir.
That's pretty good. When I got to college, I never saw so many big linemen run me down from behind, and I thought, after 2 broken noses, a broken finger, a chipped tooth, and a badly injured ankle. And I said, you know what, I might be in the wrong racket. So then I swung over to basketball and baseball, which just came easy to me for some reason.
Yeah.
Wasn't a great player, but loved to play defense.
Yes, sir.
Loved to stop you.
Yeah.
A guy like you make your life miserable.
Exactly. Yeah.
I didn't really even care if I scored or not.
Right.
It's a different ball game now with these kids.
Oh man, I tell you, yes sir. Yes, sir. So where did the and then I also seen that golf. Where did the love of golf come in?
You know, that's a funny thing. The only golf I knew at those days was golf in Mexico. And when I came, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. I was going to go to Florida and coach at a JUCO down in Florida. A couple of my friends were going. And Charlie Berry sent me a letter, which I discarded. Then he sent me another letter, a little more stern letter, said, look, you're one of my boys. I got a phys ed job for you at Wycomico High School. Won't you come on back? So I had just recently gotten married. So I said, okay, I'm coming back for 1 year. Come back for 1 year. Huh? Well, here I sit in front of you 56 years later, and I'm still here. I never made that JUCO.
Oh, what?
So then I did, I wanted to do football, and there wasn't any Parkside. And they said, look, Bennett's got 5 coaches on staff, and that's all you're allowed, and Wahai currently has 5.
Okay.
So just take the basketball and baseball, and you know, a year or two, we'll get you into football.
Right.
Well, after a year or two, I didn't even want it. I said, I'm doing fine.
Yeah.
And that's how the basketball and baseball got started, and I had great kids in baseball, great kids in baseball. The golf, to answer your question earlier, some of my friends that I went to school with that were in business or whatever, and they said, "But you got to start playing golf." And I said, "Ain't nothing to that game. My God, nobody's even throwing you the ball."
It's right there. Yeah.
So I started that, and that got in my blood. And I saw these people that I thought I was a better athlete than they were. But in golf, being a good athlete, I'm not so sure.
Right.
So anyway, I just stuck with it, and really created a passion. And to this day, until I had these shoulder surgeries, I love playing golf. So my year in school, November 15th to March 15th is basketball. Then I go into baseball. I still officiate baseball, umpire baseball. And that's when golf starts, and I'll do golf all summer long. And in many tournaments and activities that I think I can handle, up until November 15th. So that's my cycle
right there.
That's my cycle.
Nice. Nice. And I appreciate you sharing that, because one of the things that I seen looking, I said, you think Butch Waller, you think basketball, but looking at it, I seen, like you said, the football background, the baseball coaching, like you said, the golf. So I appreciate you sharing that.
Well, if there wasn't a ball involved, I wasn't interested. I wasn't interested.
Exactly. Yeah. So I do want to get into some of your teams, but before that, while we're here right now, we're here at the Governor's Challenge, and obviously, with COVID and everything, it got canceled. But talk about your impact on the tournament. We know you've had your hand in it, and you've done some great things to keep this going. Just talk a little bit about the tournament.
I'll tell you how it all started.
Yes, sir.
I'll tell you how it all started, because all these public schools at Christmas, they got like 12 to 15 days off, and it's dead time. And as you certainly know, a practice after a while can be a drag.
Exactly.
So Cambridge High School with Grayson Hurley was the first school to have a Christmas tournament. It's called the CIT, Cambridge Invitational.
Wow.
And he called me and said, "Butch, will you come?" I said, "Yeah." I just made sure it was legal and everything. I could do it. And we went, knock on wood, we won that CIT. And after that, I got thinking, I said, well,
why don't we keep it going?
Why don't I keep it going? So at that time, Wycomico County came up with a Wycomico County tournament. It had Mardella, Bennett, Parkside, and Wahai. And we did that for 3 or 4 years. But after a while, you're playing the same
teams.
One year I played Parkside 4 times.
Oh, wow,
And fortunately beat them all 4.
Right, but that's tough to play a team
still,
that many times.
It's hard to do.
Yeah, it is.
And then when I started going to the DeMatha Clinic, I went to the first DeMatha Clinic with Morgan Wooden, because I'd heard so much about him and Joe Gallagher at St. John. So I drive up to Hyattsville and find the school, and pull in the back, and I go up the steps, and I walk in the gym, and I said, this is DeMatha? my gym's better than this. I mean, it was.
Yeah, it wasn't.
It wasn't.
Yeah, right.
And now I had to go to the bathroom. When I went to the bathroom, I said, well, I'm going to walk down this hall. Well, their trophy case went all the way from here to that wall down there.
Yeah.
Nothing but trophies as tall as me. And I thought,
Okay.
something going on here. So I introduced myself to Morgan, and we eventually became friends.
Yes,
and I went to 33 straight clinics.
Wow.
And he he eventually said, Butch, I want you to speak. And I said, come on, we're not a big time school. No, I want you to speak on experiences of being in a public school that has no feeder system.
Yeah.
So anyway, and I did, and that was a big thrill. I took Dougie King with me, my assistant, and then, and we were on that floor rolling, and Morgan Wood stands up and he goes like this, like, I thought he was waving, but he was telling me 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Man, I was. And then he goes later on, he goes like this. I said, I better wind this thing up. But I was, Mike Bray was in the stands, and all these college coaches, and I'm talking in front of a couple thousand people. I was into it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
that experience.
Anyway, so I said, Coach, look, and I had a pretty good team coming up. And I said, would you come down and play us? Fully expecting him to say no. He said, all right, when's the date? What's your facility? I said, we got a nice civic center.
Yes, sir.
And we didn't have that floor, by the way. It was tile. It was tile.
It was a little bit different.
He didn't think much of that. But anyway, and I said, is there any chance that Joe Gallagher at St. John's would come down? So anyway, we got that together, and I said, oh, God, who am I going to get? So I got Chrisfield.
Oh, okay.
And that's those 4 teams, and that's what started it. Wow. And that's where that plaque came from that James has got hanging there.
Wow.
And I said, now, how much are you going to charge me? He said, look, how about this? We split the gate 50-50. And I said, that's it? He said, that's it.
Wow.
And we came down here, and that was big.
Oh, that's huge.
I expected a packed house. We didn't get it. I was a little disappointed. That's when I found out that people down here were not that sophisticated. They knew about Chrisfield, and they knew about Pocomoke and Wild.
They didn't know who those teams
They
was.
didn't know who it was. And I remember, in the state of Maryland, you're allowed 20 minutes to warm up. Well, we blew the whistle to come in after 18 minutes. His 2 assistants, 2 tall boys, all suited up. They came running and said, Coach, we want the full 20. You want the full 20? You got the full 20. And watching Adrian Branch played for him that year.
Adrian Branch, yep.
And you got it. And watching them warm up was like
probably like
open heart surgery. They were click, 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 click. So everything I did with them, I learned. In fact, to this day, I can tell you a long story about that. But to this day, the only play that I use in coaching is a sideline inbounds play from DeMatha. And I tell the kids, because they think I'm making up all this stuff. But that one, to this day, all the rest of the stuff is stuff I've just developed. And then the next year, I said, you know what? Let's add a couple more. So, God, what was his name? Played. It was a starting guard at Maryland. Jeff Atkins. Jeff Atkins. Okay. I met him through golf. I said, Jeff, where are you coaching this year? He said, well, I'm going to coach 1 year at Nottingham Academy, which was the oldest boarding school in the country. And I said, would you come down? He came down, and Ballou High School out of Washington, D.C., who had a lady coach, Wanda Oates. How I remember this stuff is unbelievable. But anyway, and so now we got 6. Now we're growing, right? This is second year. And I remember when Wanda Oates' bus pulled out front, all her kids were suited up, exactly the same. She had them all in one line. I'm telling you what, she was like a drill instructor. And anyway, we played Jeff Atkins and Nottingham Academy. I noticed his point guard had a full beard, and I said, this guy is good. And they beat us right at the end. Oh, really? And I later found out that point guard was 21 years old.
I was going to say,
they didn't have those restrictions. I said, boy, I never let anybody know that, because it would have been an unsanctioned event. So anyway, after doing that and being a teacher with a full load and coaching 2 sports at Wahoo, I said, you know what, this is almost a full-time job. So 2 guys, Don Long and Jack Smith, who were very big in the Lions Club, I talked to them. So would you guys be vaguely interested? Long story short, they took it to their membership, and they said, yeah, this would be a great fundraiser for the community, blah, blah, blah.
For sure.
And they took it over for years.
Yep.
And in those days, they paid teams to come in, $150 to come in.
I seen it, yes, sir. Yes,
and
sir.
I thought, boy, this is
all right.
because they wanted to help the schools.
Help the school, yeah.
And then it started growing. Then everybody, it was the thing
Everybody
to
wanted
do.
it
Everybody wanted to get in.
Everybody get in, yeah.
And then eventually, as it should have been, the Civic Center just said, you know what, this is in our area. We need to take it over. And they did. And Lions Club has pretty much had it by that time.
Yeah.
And that's when it really
took off.
Sort of went national. And what James has done and what little bit I've done to build it to where it is, that's why it's so crushing.
It is.
2 years in a row.
Yeah. So much planning and so much work that you
Well,
guys
I
put in for.
mean, the town of Salisbury lost a lot of money with the hotel reservations and restaurants.
Good point. I didn't think about that. That's a great point.
And showing off the area.
Yeah.
The game, because the games were at first they were at Civic Center, Wahai, Bennett, Parkside, and UMES.
Oh, okay.
Probably shouldn't say this, but we could not get into to this day. We can't get into Salisbury University.
Wow.
Now, wouldn't you? That's a
surprising.
public
That's
institution.
surprising. That's
Wouldn't you
surprising.
think
After all
that
this
they
is-
would want us over there to showcase the school a little bit?
So.
We're recruiting.
Because that way people would.
But we ain't
if you
giving
wanna
up
go
on
there,
that yet.
Right. No, not at all.
So Salisbury, if you're watching, we're coming after you. We're coming after you.
Exactly.
So, and then last year was a blow, and then you say, okay, we'll get it up this year. And then the other thing, kids, public schools not playing last year was a killer.
Yeah, it hurt. It hurt a lot of progress.
Especially since Delaware was playing.
Yep, they were still
so
playing.
I lost some kids to Delaware.
Yep.
And
They
we're
didn't
not
come
the
back
only
this year.
school.
Yeah.
And of course, the private schools do what you want to do. If the parents sign off on a waiver, you're good to go.
Yep.
So the last 2 years have really
It's been rough.
been rough for everybody. And the level of basketball in the Bayside South has taken a big hit.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, when we played in the summer league over at Snow Hill, and half the kids we had on the team, I didn't even know. I told my assistant, I said, you run it, and I'll put the money in with another sponsor. And I had no clue who we were going to have. Well, it just so happened that the football team was having a real good year.
Oh, okay.
They were 9-1, so I said, I think I'm going to have a team of football players, which has worked out unbelievably good because they're all friends. Most of them play football.
Yeah, play football together.
And so I said, how in the world can I turn these football players into basketball players?
Yeah.
But it has been a great group to work with. I'm getting ahead of it.
I'm
getting ahead of it.
Actually, you're right in what I wanted, because I was going to ask you, just like you said about the current team. Talk a little bit about that. I know you said you got some football guys there, but how is the outlook of the team? Because coming from I'm from East, and coming from the North, the first school we think about over here is Wahai. Let's be real. You ain't gotta say it.
We're the oldest one.
Yeah, you ain't gotta say it.
One of the oldest.
So, like you said, you've got the Wahais, you've got the Chrisfields, you got the Pocomoke. So, like you said, the South has been down there for so long. So, just talk a little bit about your team this year and your outlook.
I had to learn what the COVID restrictions were in school. Like kids, I don't know about the other schools. I was told that all 18 Bayside schools had to follow the same formula where kids had to go on a computer and sign up in order to be tested to try out, which I thought was good Lord. So anyway, the first night on the floor, we had 19 kids.
Yeah.
Now I'm used to having anywhere from 40 to 80 kids, try out.
Right.
Half of them shouldn't be there, but you give them a
Benefit
shot.
out. Right.
So I thought, what is going on here? I mean, my assistant, Doug King, he said, just relax. Tomorrow night there'll be some more. They're getting tested. Well, the next night we were up to 28.
Okay.
Then the next night we went up to 35, and we ended topping out at about 44 players. So now I got to get to know these guys, and two of them I knew about, so I knew they were good. And we ended up with 11 players. 8 of which are football players. I tell you, they have turned out to be the most fun group. And I'm sort of backing off coaching a little bit, just easing off because, we could get a phone call tomorrow morning and say, you shut down for 2 weeks. So I'm thinking, this is all new to me.
Right.
And new to the players.
It's a new world.
And by easing off, it allowed them not to be intimidated.
Yeah, that's true.
And they got a little better and a little better and a little bit, and we ended up we're 5-0 James hooked us up with a team from West Virginia, whose coach, Amrit Rayfield, played for Phil Rayfield, who was a coach at Chrisfield. And I know Amrit. He played at Davis and Elkins College, then became an administrator at the high school, and they asked him to coach. I knew he wouldn't have done it if they weren't good. And so we got some film and we watched them, and I was all set. Boy, what a good local story that's going to be. Amrit Rayfield coming back playing Waha. And anyway, which leads into when James called me and said, I got bad. I could tell by his voice.
Yeah, you could tell.
I said, don't tell me, James. He said, yep, we're shut down again. So, so anyway, the individually, these guys aren't that good, but collectively, they blend and they like each other, and they're always laughing. And they got me laughing. I don't ever laugh when I'm coaching.
Well, you talking about that intimidation. We used to be intimidated by you on the other bench, so I can imagine how your players was.
Every one of our practices have been fun.
Fun. That's good. That's good.
And I can't always say that about my career, but they just enjoy the game. They know they're not great. But that's why I just got my fingers and everything else crossed that come Monday, January the 3rd, we're in school.
Good.
Everybody's in school. Because if they shut us down again, I don't.
I hope it doesn't happen.
It just didn't work.
Well, and one thing that Kobe did, and I'm going another direction a little bit, is the 1920 season. You had some team that year. That was with Jaden Baker.
25-1.
25-1. I came to see y'all at the Bayside Championship game.
I was hoping you wouldn't bring that
up. I got
Look, we were 2 days from getting on the bus.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
And we were seated number one in the Final Four.
You were seated number one in the Final Four. So, and that's what I thought about. Because I thought about, that would have been, I would say, that would have been another championship.
We had a shot.
Y'all had a shot. Y'all had a great
shot. We were playing
shot.
Douglas, and they're good. Listen, I'm going to tell you something. When you get up around Baltimore, Dunbar played. I'm so sick of Dunbar.
Oh, I know. I got a question for you about that.
Well, listen, Dunbar is the only public school in Maryland that has been a state champion in 4A, 3A, 2A, 1A. Now, how do you enrollment change that much in a year? From picking up 1,000 kids. Something going on here.
Yeah, because maybe
they're not good in math. What do you think?
Well, I was going to say, because after the year y'all even played them in 02 or 01, the following year they went to 1A and played poker because they played poker mode.
Every 2 years the classification changes.
It changes. Yeah. So.
But they got beat this year in football.
Yeah, well that's good. Yeah.
I'm not against Dunbar. It's just they've had their share. In fact, we played Dunbar last year to get the right to go.
Oh, okay.
Get the right to go.
Yeah.
And that's after they let their coach go. I forget, there was something happened with some kids. And the lady that took them over was the AD, and she played for Pat Summitt at Maryland.
Is that right?
Yes, sir. And she knew her stuff too.
Wow, that's great.
And they came down here, and I remember at halftime we were 2 or 3 down. I went in the dressing room. I said, you fellas don't know how lucky you are to only be 2 or 3 down. I said, you're falling. They ran a diamond press. We ran right to the corners. They trapped us. And I said, why don't you do what we've been doing all year? And their heads are all down and all that kind of, that coaching stuff. All that coaching stuff. So we ended up beating them by, I think, 9 points. Cut down the nets and all. And I said, you know what? This team's got a shot.
Yeah, because when I was looking at over some stuff, and obviously you got 800-plus wins, 23 Final Four appearances, and obviously that 02 championship team, which we're going to get to in a little bit. But I always think about, and I'm sorry again, but that 1920 team, I remember how good that team was, so I had to mention that.
That team in 01 and 02?
01, 02. We're going to talk about that team.
Yeah, I'm talking about that too.
Give me 10 more minutes, because I got a lot to talk about with that team. So look, let's go back for a second and talk about how you got started coaching basketball. I think if I'm not mistaken, started JV maybe around 66.
Yeah, JV.
Yeah, and then went to varsity around 7. Talk a little bit about starting.
I was feeling my oats. I came the first year on JV. We went 20-1. I said, this is.
I got this.
I'll be getting a call from UCLA at a time. And next year not so good because with JV you take what the varsity doesn't want. So I cut my teeth on that as far as high school, getting used to what was in the area.
Right.
And then I got to the varsity, and I think the first year I started off 11-11 and was really aggravated at myself. And then, we were fortunate enough to pick up some good players and blah blah. But it just grew. And every year I couldn't wait to get to next November to start. And the part about coaching that I like is, you prepare to win. You can't count on winning, but
right. You
I like
though.
taking a group and seeing what I can do with them. It's like a ball of clay, seeing how you can mold it.
Yep.
That's the fun I get out of it.
Yep.
And but that team, I didn't have too much molding to do with that team in 01, 02.
Yeah.
But anyway, it just grew every year. It grew every year I got more confidence. Because when it's all on you, and somebody from the newspaper or television come asking these questions, you got to come up with some answers. So
how are you juggling so much at one time? Because like you said, me looking on the outside, I'm thinking, okay, Coach Butch, he's just coaching basketball, but like I said, at the same time, you're coaching baseball too.
And that did overlap too.
I was gonna say, how were you?
Because spring sports start March 1.
Right.
Well, if you go all the way in basketball, you go
April,
about the 15th.
Yeah. Right.
So there were several times when I would have baseball practice after school, and then later that night have basketball practice. Well, young and dumb, I was having a good time. Never thinking about my poor wife home with dinner sitting there, and my little son thinking, do we have a daddy? Does daddy live here? Does he live here? So I got through it. Looking back, I would have spent a little more time with my family, but I was just so into it. I was trying to make a name for myself, a lot of ego, and thank God I outgrew that. That's a bad thing if you're a coach, I think.
But like you say, you always, you start somewhere. Like you say, you try to get better every year.
Yep. And you learn something.
I
learned so much from you.
Yeah.
I may have taught them some things, but they taught me a lot. They taught me a lot.
You learn from them.
And you could see over the years, the attitude, I guess that's the right word, how kids acted, how it changes.
Oh, it changes.
And people would say, "How do you stay up with it?" I said, "Well, I just go with the flow. I go with the flow."
Well, it changes a lot, and I give you a perfect example. Now, I graduated in 2003. Now, when I was in school, our coaches, and I know you were the same way because I remember saying, you could yell at the players, and there would be no problem. I needed that. But nowadays, you got to even watch how you talk to kids. You can't even talk to them the same. As you used to, and some of that's generational, some of that's upbringing and stuff like that. But it is a different time, that we in. But for you to be able to go from decade to decade to decade, because listen, I read something I remember in 2006 where they were saying, this is the farewell, Coach Butch is probably going to be done. This is it.
I don't know how that got started.
I remember seeing that article, so that's what I was saying. Like, what keeps you going? Like, what keeps pushing you? Because you could have.
I think I got scared. I think I got scared. I must have let that leak out somehow.
Okay.
Maybe I was threatening the team. I don't know to play better, but. I backtracked real quick. I said, what am I going to do in the winter? So
I see what you mean.
And now I get asked that question all the time. When are you going to retire? I said, retire to what?
What am I
going to do? What am I going to do?
What am I going to do?
People that work all their life and all of a sudden they got no reason to get up. They got nothing to accomplish. I don't get it. I don't like it. I mean, I'm semi-retired. I'm not teaching anymore unless it's an emergency. But no, I don't know how people do that. I can't do that.
Question for you going, and we're going to lead up to the 02 team, but going from the decades. Was there a team, and I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, a team in the 70s that maybe overachieved or was better?
Well, I was going to start the other way.
Yeah, I know what you were going to say. I know you were going to start. But I want one that maybe overachieved, that maybe you didn't know going in was as good, but then as the season went on.
The one I got now. I mean, I'm shocked. I'm not shocked. I've seen it now, enough practices. There was a team, and I don't want to use any names, and we had a couple good players, but they pulled in some players from other schools. And I said, look, keep my name out of it. Keep my name out of it. But we had a starting lineup of really, I thought, boy, we're going to do something. This was like, I don't even want to say the year because somebody out there will look it up. They'll know who. He's talking about me. He's talking about me. But they, as it turned out, they were so ball conscious and so greedy. And I remember taking them in the team room. I said, you know what, you guys are turning into a disappointment. We only play with one ball. You guys need 5 balls. Because it's like going in the dark hole. You're not a team. You're 5 individuals. And that was a very disappointing year. And I learned a good lesson from that. I said, I don't want all great players. I don't want all offensive players.
Chemistry means a lot. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I learned a lot from that team.
Yeah.
They taught it.
Yeah. Roles.
And then there's been several teams that have overachieved. In my opinion, as far as basketball is concerned. Here again, this is one of them. I got a funny feeling about this team, and my assistant coaches are, what? They're football players. I said, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And
they'll run through a
I
wall for
feel
you.
personally that I've done the best coaching job I've ever done with these kids.
Wow.
And it's been easy. It's been easy. It's been fun.
Yeah, it's been fun.
They're the kind, you can feel 22 eyes on you when you're talking.
Yeah.
And you don't have to say, hey, John, get over here. Come on, man, pay attention.
And one thing about a lot of them too, especially football players, they already had that work ethic in them, from being football players.
Yep.
So now going to the basketball and again.
Yeah, they know they sort of know the routine.
Yeah,
and even the ones that aren't football players have picked up from the guys football players that have had structure. We got some nice football coaches, young guys, and they did a real nice job, and I'm getting a little bit of the benefit of it. But of course, my thing always has been which is not very popular these days, but I push defense. Because if I'm playing you and you're scoring 38 a game,
Coach,
which you probably did, and I can slow you down.
Don't give me nightmares about the press. Don't give me nightmares about the press y'all used to put on. That dollar press.
And it doesn't take a lot of skill to play defense. It just takes a little bit of heart, a little bit of determination, and everybody can do it to some degree. But now everybody wants. I was when they voted on the 3-point line.
What year was that?
At every state, and Maryland set out this survey. I was like, there was about 1% that voted against it. I was in that 1%.
Oh, you didn't want it at first?
I didn't want the 3-point.
Wow. Okay.
I didn't want the 3-point. And then when the clock came out, I said, I definitely don't want the clock. I don't want somebody telling me I got to shoot.
I got to shoot when you get
in so many seconds. But it is what it is. So that's another adjustment.
Yeah.
And I'll see kids, they'll come out to practice, just the 3-point line, there's a basket.
Oh, now
and they're down here, and I say, hey, John, I don't think there's a 4-point shot yet. Why don't you practice your range?
Yeah.
And they got the elbow all the way down here, and they're chunking it.
Well, what's funny, and one reason why I know this interview, was strictly from God and Shelton putting this together and all that is because the first victory you got as a head coach, you know who it was against? Easton.
No, Lord. Easton. First victory I got as the head coach.
It was against Easton.
Was it?
That's where I'm from.
That's a good one to get.
I know. When I looked that up and I seen the first victory you got was against, because you lost your very first game. I think it was at Chrisfield. Then you won the second one against Easton in 69-70 as varsity coach. I'm talking about.
We've had some battles with Easton.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We've had some battles with Easton.
Yeah. And even going to because y'all had a lot of battles with the Ja Ringo Easton Warriors when they went to 3 straight Final Fours. Marty Belly, head coach. You guys had, I remember the Josh Bright years, during that years, and AJ Spencer.
What an intense player he was.
Yeah, AJ Spencer, all those guys.
And he played in the band.
Yeah,
he was in the band.
Yeah, he was in the band. Yeah. So I remember those, and then even going back.
Well, you got more history than I got. you know more than I do.
So many guys that's going through there, like you said, like the Doug Kings of the world and Damon Johnson of the world, and so many different ones. On to my era, which I want to kind of get into is that one thing you said about, even before we get to the 02 championship team, you said that it started 3 years prior because most of those guys were seniors except for Kyle. Kyle Campbell was the only one that was a junior. Yep. All the rest of them were seniors, and they started though as sophomores. Yep. So like you said, you talked about it earlier, that chemistry and about not having all the players. Those guys came up together
they did
in the ranks. The Bubby Browns, the Darnell Campers. Even Craig, as he later came, which we'll get into as well, Jermichael Mitchell, all those guys. So.
Yeah, I had a couple of previous players that were parents now, and but you better be right now. You better get your stuff together because you got a group coming up. Come on.
Yeah.
And when I saw them, I said, they all came in the gym together and left together.
They were a family.
That's like this team I got now.
Is that right?
But
okay.
Not anywhere near as talented.
Yeah. But that family atmosphere, though, yeah.
And then we, on the bus, they always wanted, especially Bubby, wanted to sit and talk basketball.
That's him.
Talk basketball.
Yeah,
he was. Bubby's smart.
Bubby always have high IQ. But and I seen that from playing against them. We used to come down YMCA league. We used to play them at the Salvation Army.
Yep.
So like you said, I grew up even before they got to high school. Like you said, playing those guys. So I knew, what we seen. So I'm sure when you got them as 10th graders, because I even remember 10th grade year going to see y'all again. I hear Easton come up again, Shelton. I told him his first victory ever came against EC.
Yeah, you guys knew.
You
all knew.
And then I remember Bubby's 10th grade year. They beat Bunk and them. That was without suit. But they beat them in Cambridge. I remember that. They beat them. Bubby had a great game as a sophomore. I mean, he lit it up, from 3. So, like you said, that foundation, though, like you were saying, it started 10th grade, and then it just started building from there. So then you go to 11th grade, and you would kind of mention about losing the Dunbar. I think it was by 2 points. I think it was 43-45.
Yeah, I can tell you about that too.
Yeah, talk a little bit.
Well,
about
they're
that.
sitting in a 1-3-1 zone, and I'm trying to shorten the game, and it was late in the third quarter, so I called timeout, and I said, look, let's just go out before the shot clock. Let's just hold the ball a little bit.
Okay.
Well, a couple of my players that I'm not going to mention, they got excited, and they went in and bricked it and missed the shot. And Dunbar comes down. Now, we were 2 points behind when this started. Late third quarter.
Okay.
Now we're 4 points behind.
Okay.
So I call another timeout. Fellas, do you not understand? I'm trying to shorten the game. Let's get to the fourth quarter, then we'll make a run at them. And they did it again. They stood back there in that 1-3-1 zone. And here again, somebody got anxious and went in there and bricked it. Yeah. They went down. We're 6 points behind. So we get to the fourth quarter, and I said, well, I got to turn you loose now. And we couldn't catch up. They already had the momentum and everything. But also that year, when we pulled up behind Cole Fieldhouse and we were getting off the bus, this kid walks up. I knew who he was.
I know who it was.
Craig Winder.
Yeah, he tried to get in there with y'all.
And he was going to walk in with us, and I said, Craig, you can't come in with us because they got our names on the list. But I gave him money. I said, here, you go buy yourself a ticket. Now, if you want to go in with us next year, you get on this bus, which was my way of saying, all you got to do is come to YI.
And that's what.
And sure enough, he did. And that's how he got there. That's how he got there.
Yeah, because on that team when Craig got there, I think you lost. I think it was Adrian Bonner or Bonner, might be mispronouncing that, and Poorman, James Poorman, John Poorman. Yeah, y'all lost
James Poorman.
James Poorman. Yeah, but everybody else, like you said, Kyle, Darnell, Jermichael,
John Wolf.
John Wolf. Oh my goodness, John Wolf used to give me fits. You know what I mean? Because I was used to dunk everything because see, I was undersized. I was playing the 4, sometimes even the 5, and you got Wolf, you got Craig, who was still big in size as well. Carl Miles. Carl Miles. I mean,
the
my
beast.
goodness. Yeah,
the beast.
Carl Miles. I mean, 6'6". Can do it all. So it was interesting and
Craig was the missing piece.
Craig was a missing piece.
Oh, we had a good bench.
Yeah.
We had a good bench. But I'm sort of old-fashioned. I put 5 in there and let them play for 5 days in a row.
Yeah. You did.
Here's one of them right here.
There's one of them right there.
There's one right there.
And that's one.
We're just talking about you, Jermichael.
That's one I want to talk to. I got a spot for you right over here. Whenever you get straight. Perfect time. We actually just started talking about that team. Because, like you said, he was that missing ingredients. But I definitely want to talk a little bit more, like you said, about that chemistry and foundation, and even about the word sacrifice. Because there was a lot of guys. When you got a team that good that you had, I mean, all them guys could have went out and got 30 if they wanted to. Yeah, they could have went out and got 30, 25. But they knew what they were coming for. Yeah. And you know what? Another thing that all of them said, because again, I know a lot of them personally. They didn't want to do it for them. They want to do it for you.
Well, I was trying to do it for them. They should have told me that. I might appreciate it a little bit more.
They wanted to do it for you. So that sacrifice word, as a whole team, everybody, any given night could have won.
And that next year when they had the press conference here, they used to have a lot of coaches come, and each coach would come up and speak. And of course, all the media's up front here, and. I remember sitting there and saying, well, you got enough nerve to say what you want to say? And I got up there, hey, Coach Waller, you want to come up and say a few words? And I got up there and thanked everybody and all that kind of stuff. And then I said, look, how about this year's team? Tell us about this year's team. And I bit my lip. I remember I think it started bleeding because I was a little nervous. So I said, well, here's what I'm going to tell you about this year's team. If we don't win the state championship, it's been an unsuccessful year. Well, here come the click, click. The pictures, the click, click.
Yeah, they was all on that. Yeah.
Excuse me, some girl from some news outlet said, Mr. Wall, can we print that? I said, ma'am, if I said it, you can print it. And I've thought about that a lot. I said, boy, did you put your foot in your mouth or what? But we went, the only close game we really had was against Pocomoke.
Yeah, and that's what I want to talk to. Come on in, Jermichael. Yeah. Good
Come
to
on,
see you, my
E.
brother. Good to see you. Good to see you. You know him, don't you, Coach?
Yeah, I think I do. I think I do.
Jermichael Mitchell.
Look,
What's up, bro? Good to see you, man. Yes, sir.
We
That's
get
your
up
joint.
there for that championship game. They're playing Central, and some guy from the Washington Post comes up and he says, "Coach, can I talk to you, man?" "Yeah, sure." "You know who you're playing?" I said, "Yeah, we drove up here. We pretty much know who we're playing." He says, "You know, I don't remember what the record was. It was some fabulous record." And he said, theoretically, you're probably 10, 15 point underdog. I said, you know what? If I'd known that, I'd have never come up. I'd never come up. Well, we opened up in a 1-3-1 zone. They had one particularly good player. He had 2 charges on him first quarter. First quarter. And I mean, there was no doubt they were charges.
He
eventually fouled out.
We
beat that team. What was it, Jermichael? 20?
20, yeah.
You know, I couldn't find that guy. I
couldn't
looked
find him
all
either.
over for him because I was going to blow where the sun don't shine. But he wasn't around. He wasn't around.
Jermichael, I was telling Coach, we actually, went in right into, so you got perfect timing because we kind of went right into it. So before we even get to that championship, like Coach was talking about, one thing Coach said and we talked about was that the foundation for y'all kind of started your 10th grade year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because y'all built up every year. And that year before, you guys had the tough loss to Dunbar by 2. What was your mentality going into your senior year, knowing, like, this is it, and we want to win it for Coach? Let's talk a little bit about that.
Man, it was lose or go home type situation.
Yeah, that was a together bunch. I mean, they had some arguments. They had some arguments, but they got it all together themselves. I didn't have much to do.
They was brothers, on and on,
Childhood.
Yeah.
That was a good thing for us, man. It was more or less, that was a dream come true.
Yeah.
We had been working for that since we were kids.
Right,
From elementary school playing A.
Yeah. I was telling them, I remember before y'all got to high school playing y'all at the Salvation Army, and knowing what was coming,
Yeah, I got the word.
Knowing what was coming.
You better get right, Waller, because there's a group coming. I said, sure. You tell me that every year. So, no, this is the group. This is the group. And I've been waiting to hear that since. But I haven't heard it. I haven't heard it lately.
Now, another thing that, and I want to ask you, Michael, I talked to Coach about sacrifice. All you guys could have went and got 30, 35, 25, especially when Craig came your senior year, like all y'all. But in my opinion, from the outside looking in, you were the one, to me, had to sacrifice the most because
he did.
You had less minutes than you would have had starting and stuff like that. But, and again, I don't know how it was inside. Maybe you can talk about it. But from what I've seen, though, you relish that challenge coming in as that 6th man. And like you said, when y'all was playing that, whether it's a diamond press or I think I had 2 or 3 presses. I always remember you being at that front of that press and causing havoc, just like Coach said about the Chargers. Talk a little bit about the sacrifice you knew you was going to make that season, and about your impact on that year.
I knew offensively I was going to take a hit from the year before, especially. But defensively, man, I was a defensive specialist.
That was it.
It was just shifting. What can I do to help the team win? And get minutes. I think a lot of kids don't think like that. They feel like they're not scoring the basketball.
That's a good point,
They don't think about what else can I do on the floor for my coach to say, hey.
That's true.
At the end of the last 5 minutes, I want that kid in the game.
Right.
That was my concept. I may not have been a starter.
But you finished the games. You finished the games,
that was my concept. And that year, man, believe it or not, I actually played football that year. Only year high school.
Is that right?
Football.
Oh, okay.
I tore my MCL in the beginning of the season.
See, I never knew that.
So
I never knew that.
Like the first 4 to 5 games, I was hurt.
That's crazy.
Yeah, my only year ever playing football.
There's a message there too. There's a message there too.
You probably went to Coach like, Coach, I got hurt on that.
MCL,
wow. Okay.
My MCL. So the first 5 games, I didn't even.
Yeah. You was there. Coming back.
I got sent to therapy.
Yeah.
Rehabbing and
by the
season, man, I was getting my rep.
Right.
It just doesn't seem like it was that long ago, I swear.
And that's why this is perfect.
That's so vivid.
Yeah, because it is so vivid. That's why I said, like, coming up on 20 years, that's why I said all this with Shell put together. And I was telling Jermichael that the first victory Coach ever had as a varsity coach was against Easton in 1970. Like, all that's just crazy, like, for me to be here. So going back to that team, and Coach kind of alluded to it, y'all really didn't have a lot of challenges that year. I mean, I'll say it for y'all. You had Pocomoke. Don't get me wrong. You had Pooh Bear, Eddie Miller, Todd Northam. You had those guys, Javon Schoolfield, Tony Tall. Cambridge, y'all only beat them by 8 in the regular season, but y'all blew them out in the Bayside Championship by 40. And then you also had Snow Hill. Tony Harmon, Jarrell Harmon. You know what I mean? So talk about regular season wise, like, I know what y'all want to get to, but regular season wise, like, when y'all seeing some of these teams, like, because obviously it's not as easy as it looked. but y'all made it look easy.
We did have a close game against Snow Hill.
Yeah.
And I remember
because they were up
I
on
think
y'all.
it went overtime.
Yeah, y'all went overtime. They were
and
up
I
on
went
y'all.
to the huddle on the floor trying to be super coachy, and I said, Craig, don't get nervous. He looked at me with those cold eyes. He said, Coach, I don't get nervous.
Craig
I remember him saying that.
Craig told me that same story when he was on here. He said
I don't get nervous.
Yeah, that's what he said.
It was an iron sharpens iron type of situation. We play ball game with them in the summertime. So we look forward to those games.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that back then, Bennett and Parkside weren't our rivals.
Yeah, right, exactly. There was Pokemon against Hood. It sure was.
Well, they say that was a once-in-a-lifetime team.
That was a great.
I'm hoping not, but from what I see, and with the COVID, it probably is. It probably is.
Back then, man, playing in those smaller gyms. So, back then,
I loved it.
Pokemon
right there on you. Oh, man.
You had no room.
No room. No room. You shoot a shot, you look back, the guy right here. Yep.
But iron sharpens iron, man. So those teams made us better. And again, they actually went to the state championship.
I was just going to say.
As well.
That's true. And won. That's a great point. That's a great point. Because, Snow Hill won the year before.
Chrisfield wasn't too big.
And Chrisfield was good. And then, like you said, and Pokemon won the same year as y'all and won that.
Yep.
That's amazing. Like
David
talent
Bird
right here.
beat Dunbar. We listened to it on the radio on the way.
Wow,
that was just amazing, man.
So you had that regular season, undefeated regular season. So did y'all ever feel the pressure of, forget the championship for a second? Like, I'm sure y'all didn't expect to go undefeated. Did you ever had that pressure? Like, did y'all talk about y'all hadn't lost? Like, does that come up in any, or either one of y'all?
I'll say just before Coach, Bubby did a clip for the news. And in the beginning of the season, he's sitting down.
He was supposed to come too. Yeah, he couldn't make it.
Bubby says, we're going to go undefeated. He literally, before the season
right,
even
he
started.
Tell me that. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Coach just found out 20 years later.
He says, we're going to go undefeated and win the state title.
I probably would have had a few words with Bobby if I knew.
It ain't too bad what you said then, Coach.
Sure enough, you had to live up to it.
Maybe he thought that what I said at the press conference, but I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Bob said that. Bob said I still got the clipping.
And I do remember him sharing that. I do. What about you, Coach? As far, I mean, you know how good they was, but being undefeated, did that ever come up? Like, don't play too tight. Don't play.
I think about it a lot. I think about it a lot. I try to remember most of the games, the close ones.
Yeah.
Some of them it was just almost embarrassing. We would win by so much. Pull that diamond press off. And I don't know. I remember I was having a ball. I can tell you that. I was having a ball.
So,
I really think that team could have played the 4A champion and the 3A champion.
Oh yeah.
I'm not saying they would win, but I'm saying it would be a ball game.
Well, you had everything that you needed. It's like a big melting pot. You had the bigs, you had the defense, you had the scores, and that's where my question.
Yep.
For
you had all the right parts.
Yeah, and that's where my question. And Jermichael, you can answer. Did y'all being friends with Craig? I asked him this too when he was on. Did it make it easier for him to sacrifice? You know what I mean? Being that y'all was,
Most definitely, man. Like for us, first off, we had been pitching that.
Okay.
For years, you know what I mean? And it was one of those situations where we had been put, like you said, we played ball.
Yeah, all lives. Yep.
So the chemistry was already there. It wasn't too much size of the game, like you said.
Yeah.
Playing time sacrifice from people who understood what the mission
Yep.
was. We had an overall mission, and I will say one of the messages that year, Coach always told game by game.
Okay. That's how you stay on it, and I like that.
Stay game by game.
Don't look too far ahead. Stay in the moment.
That's another thing. I don't know. Maybe you do, but I don't see that. I don't see them on the playgrounds.
Nah, they're not on the playgrounds. Nah, they're not.
And over here at the Y, they're getting ready to put all those pickleball courts in. They're going to put 2 lighted, brand new courts in. I don't see. All I see is
you're right.
Is older men and women out there playing.
For my neighborhood, man, Coach Waller would always come out to our park, Lake Street Park.
Wow.
He would come out there and watch us play.
Yeah, darn right. Lake Street.
That says a lot. That says a lot because it's not too many people.
I want them to know that I was interested too.
That you care, and that shows, I'm sure, for them, like he cared. He out here looking at us. He cares about us.
It didn't hurt the recruiting trail either. You better scratch that. You better scratch that.
So talk about, like you said. So y'all go undefeated regular season. Beat Cambridge in the Bayside Championship. Playoff start. I mean, you guys, run through. Actually, that year, if we had beat North Carolina, we would have played y'all in the playoffs. Y'all beat them. Get to the Final Four. what's the mentality? I mean, I know obviously you want to win, but that first game y'all had.
What the year we won it all?
The year you won it all. Yep.
We played.
I think it was North.
It was Western Maryland.
Yeah.
And they had one really good player that would come off screens at the top of the key.
Number 11.
And we were handling him pretty good. And all of a sudden, this guy starts coming off this screen. And I remember getting mad. I don't remember what I said now. And I said, fellas, we did scout this, and we did tell you that he's coming off this big, tall white guy. And then I think I was upset after that game. I didn't think you guys played. I didn't think you had that killer in you. Like, oh, we got him. Well, I'd like to get him by 30, not 3.
Right.
But we got that one. I remember that now. That I'm thinking, boy, I don't know. That's a bad prelim game.
I know, because Bubba talked about that too. The foul trouble.
The first quarter of the championship game, they put that to rest real quick.
Yeah, so
we had a lot of energy.
Yeah, I was going to say, so the championship game, y'all ended up playing Central, in the championship, and I mean, you guys, I wasn't there, but it looks like you guys just got on the floor and didn't look back, because I know y'all ended up winning. I think it was 72-50, and I mean, y'all might have had some piece of it. I mean, you can, you would know more than me. Talk a little bit about that game. I'm not sure if is that the game that Bub was in foul trouble. Or that was probably the game before where he came in, had a 7-0 run in the second half. Yeah.
The championship game, it was the hype. Everybody thought we was the underdog.
Yeah, and that's what he was saying. That's what's crazy.
The crazy part to us was like, yo, we beat these dudes all the time.
Yeah. Oh man, all the time. Y'all was.
So it was like that was the swag and the mentality.
Right.
We had.
Yeah. Hey, we doing it.
6'9",
right.
6'8" at the bigs, like, so what?
Yep, don't mean nothing.
We had a lot of confidence in Wolf.
Yeah, that's just
we had a lot of confidence in Carl.
Yep.
And the chemistry, bro, like you said, we had been.
Man, Carl was a monster.
Carl was a monster.
Nobody wanted to go rebound.
No disrespect to anybody on that team from the year we lost by 2, because I loved everybody on that team, and they did a great job, and we had a great team.
Yep.
Carl was the difference maker.
He was.
Didn't have him there.
Yeah, y'all didn't. Yeah, he was.
Had Carl
Carl,
he definitely.
When that game comes up, Jermichael, I'll tell you, you're out of my mouth. Your name is the first one that comes out. And I said, well, let me tell you about what Bubby do, what Craig does. Let me tell you about what Jermichael Mitchell did to their best player. And you could tell expression on his face, he was cooked. Third quarter, I was killed in the first 4 minutes of the third quarter. He was dead meat. He was over. Wherever side of the floor you were on, he wanted to be on the other side.
You weren't letting him go. Yeah.
Here again, I'm big on defense.
Yeah, and that's why I said, man, I mean, Jermichael, man, he was tenacious, on defense. Like I said, whether it was straight up man-to-man in front of that zone, that press, which I hated. I mean, it was times we couldn't even get the ball up the half court. Like, put a man in the middle. It didn't matter. Like, you know what I mean? So that defense, and Coach talked about it. Offense is one thing, but one thing I always say about y'all, y'all could have scored 25, 33, but y'all played defense, man. Like, y'all played defense.
That's just praise to Coach Waller, man. One of his biggest things was, defense creates offense.
Yeah.
So if we get that turnover and do a cycle,
Yeah.
Set up a play. You know what I mean? That was always the mindset with how we played, bro. Like, if we can get a steal and run cycles, whether it's the tray ball or a layup, that's the game plan, man.
To this day, it aggravates me watching. I don't watch the pros. That's all one-on-one to me. But these colleges that don't play defense, I just soon not even watch the game. If you're playing defense, you're in the game.
Right.
You're in the game. You got to be in the game. Yeah. And like I said earlier, to me, you don't have to have a lot of talent to play defense. You just got to have a lot of heart.
A lot of heart. Yeah.
You got a lot of determination.
Yeah, that's true. And it's something what Jermichael was saying about, chemistry and coming together. It kind of shows even in that championship game you're talking about, because the guy that led y'all on score was the underclassman. It was Kyle, 20 and 10. So y'all wasn't big enough. Like, I'm the senior, I want to score. That's a brotherhood y'all had. That he went out and got 20 and 10. I think Craig only had 11, but he had like the first 7. Like, he got y'all jump started. Bubby, had a good game. Like I said, Jermichael on defense. Carl Miles down there, Wolf, who used to give me fits trying to guard him. So you guys just had it. Darnell, you guys had it. Then Adam, the Morons of the world, guys like that. So, I mean, you guys but what was that feeling like finally cutting those nets down, Coach, after I'll ask you first, cutting those nets down?
Next year was a little tough. Next year was a little tough trying to follow that act up.
Yeah, that was tough to follow.
To this day, I got a big poster with that team in there, and the kids will come in and say, "How good were they?" I said, "You have no clue.
No idea.
You have no clue."
Yeah, no idea. Yeah, y'all were special, and it was.
What's that saying, Jermichael? The people pay to see offense, but you win with defense.
Yeah.
I mean, to the day I die, I'll believe that.
Yeah. So, and look, that was one I got from the clip. You remember that one, don't you?
Oh yeah. Boy, you got all the stuff.
Yeah. You remember that? I got some others. I'll see. But yeah. So like you said, y'all, state champs, 28-0. For people listening, 2002, Waha, undefeated, 28-0. 20 years is this year. Is coming up. So, to be able to sit down with you guys, man, honestly, it's an honor and a privilege. And to play against that team, which we went to Waha that year, and I think I just say this: I let us score, and I only had 12, and I let us score. So that tell you how good.
Yeah, you were hitting those shots from the corner.
How good y'all was.
I remember that.
But but what I want to do, we're wrapping up Real Sports Fan Podcast. Thanks for listening, Jermichael. One thing that I seen from you, and I want you to get in this because you're coaching now, and you've been coaching for a while. Talk about, and you kind of even said it in this interview, the impact that Coach Waller's had on you on the court and also off the court.
Yeah. So one of the things of our brotherhood and one of the things Coach Waller brought to us, man, was just respecting yourself as an individual. The love of basketball. That's why I became a coach. Right. A lot of what I learned from Coach Waller, I use in my own system. My kids run cycles.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm a defensive-minded coach. Component to it.
Yeah.
I tried to leave no doubt in everybody's mind that I wanted to win.
It's easy playing.
Let's get that straight. I don't care if we're playing marbles. Let's win.
So that's been one of the biggest things, man. He made us competitors.
Yeah.
And that's the same way we coach.
Jermichael's doing a great job now over at Salisbury School.
Yeah, he is. At Mardella previously, right?
Yeah, at Mardella. I thought that was pretty cool because Dave Byer was at Parkside. Jermichael was at Mardella, and Bubby was trying to get Bennett. I said, we got the whole county covered. Waha's got the whole county covered.
It is cool saying that, though, honestly, though. It is.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. And that just shows Coach, those seeds you planted, over the years for stories like Jermichael, but even people that might didn't get into coaching, but you influenced them outside of basketball to be better people, better men. And again, that's why, like I told him, Jermichael, we give him his flowers now. We give him your flowers now while you can smile. So again, from the North Bay side to the South Bay side, I just want to say that I appreciate you from afar. And he talked about Jermichael. He talked about being sometimes intimidating. Look, I told him I was intimidated by him. I didn't even know him when I was on the other team. I was going up against him. He just had that, he had that posture. Like, we met business, but I knew that y'all loved playing for him because of how y'all played.
Great man.
Yeah.
He was a great man. One of the best feelings I would say, man, out of the whole year was lifting him up.
Oh, man.
Well, look,
I bet. Oh, that was a great
I don't want to blow your head up, but when we played you, I will tell you, you were the second target on our list, on our scout sheet. Didn't you have a point guard that coach's son or something?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
I said, he's the first one we got to stop.
Yeah.
We got to take all that penetration away, and then you were the second one over in the corner. It didn't work out so well the last time we played you. But I think some of my players liked you, and they said, let's let him have some space here. Let's let him have some. No, I'm kidding you. I'm kidding you. That's not true. That's not true.
Yeah, we had a lot of battles with those guys over the years, man, and I just love it because even after all that, like I can hit Jermichael up just like now, say, hey, man, you doing something? Can you come by, talk on the podcast, talk to Coach? Sure. Like, it's never a thing, it's never a competition or a beef. I could come to Salisbury, you can come to Easton. It's a beautiful thing, and all this because of basketball. Like, that's the great thing. Like, sports can do this for people and bring people together. So yeah, this has been great sitting down. Coach, like you said, you still coaching, still doing your thing.
Yeah, still trying.
So I appreciate you. We appreciate you.
Oh, it's been fun.
Thanks for sitting down and talking to us for a little bit. Jermichael, same thing, man. Thanks for coming on and sharing that experience, that inside track that I wouldn't know. So I appreciate it. It's
been great.
Real Sports Fan Podcast.
Been great. But I get to take this table, right?
Yeah, you take it.